A very warm welcome to the Post Family Affairs program for today. I want to say thank you for tuning in. Thank you for listening, and I hope and pray that whatever you would learn and pick up from my message will impact in your life, in your relationship, in your family, and everything around you. Today we want to talk about why marriage is not for everyone, or if you would like to rephrase it and put it in a question form, is marriage actually for everyone? And as always, I'm your host, and my name is Tony HeSmart. Relax as you're listening. God bless. I don't intend to shock you. Marriage is not for everybody. And let's try to look at why marriage is not for everybody. Why is marriage not for everybody? Or if you want to change it this way, is marriage really for everybody or everyone? That's what we want to look into this evening. I want to start by saying that marriage is part of God's provision for us, mankind. God established it, and by himself he set down the model of the marriage covenant by saying that a man shall leave his father and mother and cleave to his wife, and that the two of them shall become one flesh. You see what I mean? This was God's intention and plan for every one of us, and for everyone who intends to get married, for that matter. He never intended otherwise. However, I want to say that the number of separations and divorce cases across the world today has prompted large number of people asking the question, is marriage actually meant for everyone? I am asking that question also myself. Is marriage for everyone, really? Come to think about it. Because if people are beginning to ask, is marriage really for everyone? It makes God's original plan for marriage look like something debatable. Something mankind is now beginning to look at whether it is good or whether it is bad. When God instituted marriage, he said it is good. Yet, every day more and more people get into courtship. Most of them get engaged eventually, and a good number finally make it to the churches and mosques and some other religious sects and registrars all over the world to take that same vow, till death do us part. But the growing trend now suggests that young adults are even under serious pressure from their parents to get married. They are under pressure from their religious groups to get married so that they will stay away from sin. They are also under pressure from the society, from their various cultures. They are also under pressure. And of course, from themselves, they are equally under pressure. Not only to marry, but to marry the right person. So it's one thing to marry, or it's one thing to want to marry, but it's yet another thing to marry the right person. Unfortunately, every year, the number of divorce cases in our world today is increasing at an alarming rapidity, almost at the same proportion as in the number of marriages. It's sad. Religious groups and the society have tried to find a way to reduce the divorce and separation rate, all to no avail.
I said every year the number of divorce cases in our world today is increasing, almost at the same proportion as in the number of marriages. That is too sad. Religious groups and the society, they are battling to find a way to reduce the divorce and separation rate, but they are not making much progress. And it is very, very, very insignificant, the positive result they are even getting in that direction. So I am now persuaded to want to agree that marriage is not for everyone, really. That is what I think now. You see, marriage doesn't make us happy. Who says when you are married is a ticket to being happy? That's a wrong assumption to make. It is completely deceptive. It's not correct. Rather, we make marriage happy. Do you see what I mean? Marriage does not make you happy and has never made anyone happy. But you can become happy through marriage. That means you make marriage happy. So, marrying the wrong type of person is a sure guarantee that you're going to live in unhappiness for the rest of your life. That is, if you are patient enough to endure it for the rest of your life. Unfortunately, because there is a thing called divorce, people nowadays toy with marriage. Enough time is no longer spent to really find out what is needed in marriage and what is not. As long as there is that exit door left open through divorce, people now walk in and out of marriage at will, disregarding the principles of God put in place when He actually instituted marriage. That's what is happening. So the vows taken during marriages are no longer binding to lots of people, especially for those who care less about the implications in the sight of God. But can I remind you that God intended marriage for everyone? That's the irony. God intended for everyone to get married, to have their own wives, to have their own husbands. So everybody must have his own wife or his own or her own husband. That was God's intention. And that is why God set a standard for marriage. However, just as we have choices in every other area of our lives, like whether to go to church or not, whether to go to the mosque or not, whether to pray or not to pray, etc., etc., it is even so with marriage. Though God has said it is good, yet we are left with the option to abide or not to abide. This is what we are saying. And that is why, in my opinion, and those of a few people I spoke to, though marriage is good, like I said, and a lot of people have that notion, they have agreed eventually that marriage is not for everyone. But then I ask again, why is marriage not for everyone? That is the question we will try to answer as time will permit us this evening. Why is marriage not for everyone? That's the big question. Dear listeners out there, from the beginning of marriage itself, we are told that marriage is only for those who can accept the rules of marriage. Perhaps the most difficult of the rules to accept is that you are meant to be stuck with your spouse for the rest of your life. What do I mean? That is, You must abide by the rule that says, till death do us part. But this has not been the case. And that is why there are so many divorce and separation cases across our nations and across the world at large today. Before you know, if you are ready for marriage, and if you are meant to be married in the first place, you must ask yourself these questions. 1, ask yourself, can I give my love out unconditionally to the one I'm married to, or to the one I am about to get married to, for those that are not yet married? Number 2, ask yourself, can I compromise a little for him or for her because of the marriage? Number 3, ask yourself, can I face the pressure of marriage when they come without breaking down? Hey, dear listeners, hear me out. Marriage comes with tension, stress, all kind of problems. That is where this number 3 question applies. Are you ready to face the pressure of marriage when it comes without breaking down? That's the question. And that is why it is important that you know what marriage is all about before you get into it. Know the nature of the kind of pressure, tension, stress, and all that goes with marriage. Know the kind, and then be equipped and prepared with the formulas to tackle them, to deal with them. Number 4, you will also need to ask yourself, will I be ready to forgive him or her irrespective of what happens to us in the course of the marriage? A lot of things could happen in the course of the marriage relationship. You can suddenly discover that your husband has been cheating on you or have cheated on you, or your wife have been cheating on you or have cheated on you. Will you be ready to forgive him or forgive her when such happens? I am not encouraging you to cheat on your spouse. That is the least I am saying. Supposing you suddenly discover that she had lied to you on a particular thing in the past, or he had lied to you on something else. It may not be in the area of unfaithfulness. It could be an area of money. It could be an area of his or her own family relationship. It could be in the area of taking care of the home or something to do with the family. Will you be ready to forgive him or her? You need to ask yourself that question as well. And then, of course, you have to ask yourself, do I even understand what marriage is all about? You see, a lot of people get into marriage, they just want to have a husband. They just want to have a wife. Oh, okay. They want to bear children that people will give respect in the society and not call bastards, as the case may be. Children that will have a father and a mother living under the same roof. That's not the reason for marriage. That's not the reason for marriage. Are you getting into marriage because you just want to bear children? Oh, you can have a child without necessarily getting married. You can go to homes where they have children without parents and adopt. A child is a child after all. So if it is for the sake of having a child, you can go and adopt a child and it becomes your child. Marriage is much, much more than legitimizing childbearing. No. Oh, I want my child to have a father, or I want children that will have a mother, living with me under the same roof. That's absolutely not the right reason to get married. So you need to know what marriage is all about. One thing that is common among married couples is that they actually want to graduate as soon as possible, forgetting that marriage is the only institution where no one becomes a graduate. You are always learning. In marriage, you cannot know everything overnight. You may be married for 10 years. You may be married for 15, 20. There are still one or two little things that you can learn from even someone who is married for 2 years. That is the funny thing about marriage. It does not mean that because you are married for 50 or 40 years, therefore you know everything about marriage, everything about family, and everything in marriage. It doesn't follow like that. Marriage is a lot of work. And there are plenty of people that are not willing to put in that workload that is needed to make the marriage last a lifetime. Not everyone is mature enough to live a married life. That's true. So, you must be matured first before thinking of getting married. Otherwise, you will melt in the marriage when it gets so hot. Like I rightly told you, you need to understand what marriage is all about first. Know that there will come a time when you will ask yourself, did I actually marry the right person? Oh yes, times like that will come. Ask any married man, ask any married woman. They will tell you that there had been times like that when you actually sit down in your closet between you and your God alone. You are asking yourself, come to think of this thing, was it the right man I actually married? Was it the right woman I got married to? Don't I think I acted too hastily? Don't I think I married out of sentiment? Or don't I think I was lusted into this marriage? Not that I actually took time to know and study what I was getting into. So you must be matured enough to know how to handle situations when it gets to moments like that. When you begin to regret marrying the person you married. Because there are some funny things that will happen in the home, and you begin to ask yourself why you didn't marry the other lady, why you didn't marry to the other man that was also proposing. Things will happen, definitely. Things will happen. That is the period when those people that you actually left to marry the person you married will be all over the place wanting to get in contact with you. Especially if such people are not yet married and hooked up somewhere. Those temptations will just begin to flood in. Yes. Marriage is meant for those who can abide by the rules of marriage. That's why it's not for everybody. That's why it's not for everybody.
That's the end of part one of that message. I do hope that you watch out for concluding part of this message. You have a great day. Bye.